Hi, this is Stan, and thank you so much for taking time. It's almost the end of March, and that means 2016 is 1/4 gone, and I just simply want to come to you. We're trying to do this 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a month, just a little teaching moment and perhaps a review of some of the things we've done, and perhaps to give you an anticipation of what might be available, and then to ask you to respond and come back to what we say and do. Yeah, 2016. It's already, we had such great intentions. We all did. In fact, back at the start of the year, I put together a little class called How to Get a Fresh Start in 2016. And this was based on a lot of things that came out at that time, which said that unfortunately most people start the year with new intentions and new goals and new resolutions, but the vast majority of them fade away and never get achieved. So how can we start over and get a fresh start? Well, already that class is a little bit old because we're well into the 3rd month of 2016. But perhaps if you'd like to take a time out, and it's only about an hour, you might want to find that there's a number of things there that might help you get a very good start in getting back on track. And life is oftentimes just simply, getting distracted, something happens, something comes up, nothing that we're bad, it just, things happen. That great Beatle who we'll talk about, John Lennon, unfortunately died very early as a terrible, terrible tragedy. But he had a line, he said, life is what happens when you're making other plans. And that does happen. And how can we get back on plan or get back on the purposes we have? So perhaps you want to check that out and perhaps then teach it to somebody else. All of my classes and courses are meant to help you learn and then to help you teach others. So give that some thought. Something that might be helpful and useful to you in this era where there's all kinds of opinions, and particularly where I live in the United States of America, there's an incredible election going on, and it's pretty divisive. Well, and many of you live in parts of the world where that does happen. And people have strong opinions about a lot of things. And in our workplaces, there can be a real disagreement about the actions and the courses we should take and some of the decisions we should make and how we should treat clients and customers and how we should deal with the problems we have. Here are 3 questions that I've learned that have been very helpful to me. When somebody says something or makes a claim, if it's not real clear, the first and easiest question to ask them is, what do you mean by that? Can you tell me more? What do you mean by that? Can you tell me more? Let's see what happens when you ask a person that question. Now, if it continues on, a second question which has been very helpful is, well, how do you know that? Or how do we know that? Where's the source of our authority, our information? What are we basing this on? Again, and this is not meant to be necessarily in your face or challenging or disruptive or necessarily argumentative. It's meant simply to be an inquiry. What do you mean by that? Oh, how do you know that? And then the classic third question is, well, what difference does it make? Isn't that a good question? Okay, we have this, and perhaps we're arguing about it or fighting about it or making some choices about it, and we just simply sometimes say, is it that important? One of the things I talk about is, does it matter? Let's make sure that we're really involved in things that matter in life. And so much that we argue about and fight about and disagree over and get involved in, when it comes right down to the big picture of who we are and what the life purposes we have are, they don't matter. So there you go, 3 questions. What do you mean by that? How do you know that? What difference does that make? One of the classes I'm coming up with is, I mentioned, the Beatle John Lennon. I'm very much convinced that one of the things I want to do is to teach you how to succeed in your life and in your business. That's a big deal. That's why many of you are here on Udemy, because you want to be successful in your career and in your business. Now, that's not everything, but a lot of the classes and courses are helping people do just that. And I'm discovering that the best place to go sometimes is finding people who didn't own huge companies, but they started small, and you can learn from them by what they did, how they gained, both in terms of their influence and their impact and their income. Three things: influence, impact, and income. And over 50 years ago, 4 guys from England who became known as the Beatles, literally changed the music industry and became worldwide rock stars. And you know what I've discovered? Then going back and studying them and their music and their success, there's a whole lot you can learn about your own life in your own little business by the Beatles. So we're going to have a class on what you can learn about life and business from the Beatles, and I trust you'll enjoy that. But do a little research now and start thinking about that and how that might be helpful and useful to you. Now, I'm also going to teach a class on how you can start teaching. And I want you to remember, one of my goals is not that you are just a learner, just a student, but you have something inside of you. You can be a teacher. And I want you to know that I want to help you do what I do. Teach to people all over the world. Now, you're going to learn that there's some things you have to learn to do, and there's a number of classes and courses about that, but I'm going to particularly encourage you to know that if you want to be a successful business person today, if you want to be a successful teacher of life and business, you have to learn how to be a broadcaster. You have to learn what people on the radio and people on the television, the people who produce audio and video programs, what they know. Literally, you can learn a great deal about how to be a teacher by going to a movie, by watching a TV program, by listening to a radio show, and how those people engaged and worked with and eventually influenced hundreds, maybe thousands of people. Well, that's a part of what we're all about, and as we head into April, please keep an eye open for all of those opportunities that we hope to give to you. Again, I thank you so much for being a student. Those of you who are in the FEAR class know we're going to be updating that class. Those of you who took the class on Selling You, we've closed that down, but you can still have access to it. But we've learned a great deal more. Those classes were first done about 15, 16 months ago, and they're out of date now. And so we have to, in many ways, update them. That's the way life is. You just have to keep learning things and keep updating your knowledge. And as I have to do that, I have to keep updating my teaching. Hopefully these are some lessons for life, and that this will be a good end of the month to you. And you'll go into the second quarter of 2016 ready to be recharged, renew yourself, and come closer to achieving the goals that are important to you. All the best and blessings to you. And bye for now.